So, there's a really great room with stadium seating and a lot more chairs next door, but the powers that be told me it was claimed today. So welcome to the smaller room without enough chairs. I hope you enjoy yourselves. But thank you for coming. I'm David Cochran. Previously, I was the dean for the School of Business and Technology here at Newman University since 2022. I've been here in Wichita since 2018. That year I started getting to know professionals in data analytics, and I just kind of kept going. You know what I figured out? I'm kind of an introvert, but when it comes to being in a room of nerds, like, I just have fun, right, with this kind of room. So this is like my favorite thing to do. So thanks for coming today. And 2 times in my life, I've been in the wrong place at the wrong time and said the wrong thing. No, actually, a bunch of times, right? But two sort of life-changing times. Yeah, because my wife's still with me, so that yeah. But one got me made Dean of Business and Technology, and then more recently now switched over to, check this out, Dean for AI and Emerging Technologies. That's, yeah. So I got to credit my Vice President, Alden Stout here. Wave. Yeah. He's been a huge advocate for everything that we're doing here at Newman in these programs we've been launching. We do have a new Masters of Science in Applied AI launching soon. Everybody pause and send prayers up for the HLC to hurry and give us the official yes. Because we got the Masters of Data Science approved no problem 3 years ago, and it's going to be in its 4th year. The Masters of Applied AI just swapped some data analytics courses for a new deep learning course and 4 courses in applied AI, right? And then weaving in AI throughout the other parts of the curriculum. Super easy. We've got more professors now, 3 brand new who are just fantastic. And now HLC, I don't know what they're doing this summer, but they're not getting fast enough. So we're going to see and make sure we may have more masters in data science with an emphasis in applied AI this coming fall, but we'll see. So that's a short introduction. There's the Wi-Fi if you want it. Today's work here at Superusers is really 2 killer presentations by just some really awesome people. Some of the others of you need to present in upcoming ones, so please hang out or shoot me emails. A couple things I want to show you before I begin, and then I'm going to hang around and talk afterwards. Let's see. Our website. I'm coming through. There you go. He's got the meeting. So I've got my presenters hooked up so they can record their meetings from their screen. And then we've got a camera, right? So we can have some records of these things. So the Newman Institute for AI and the Common Good, it's ai.newmanu.edu. Let me see if you can see that URL, and I wrote it up there. One of the things, if you would like to be on our mailing list for the things that we do, pleased to announce that we're moving from my own Outlook account to Constant Contact this semester. So we're upgrading operations. So here at ai.newmanu.edu, and it is Newman U, right, Newman University. If you go to contact, then just give us your email and name and organization, and we'll add you to our mailing list. And you can just say, please add me. That'll be convenient. If you did not receive an email from me and somebody else brought you along, then you might want to do that. So feel free. We have some meetup groups. We're getting ready to launch a combination group called the Wichita AI Club. We've got several contributors to that who are in this room and some really great friends who have helped organize that. And so this isn't just a Newman University thing. This is really a Wichita thing. And increasingly it's a Kansas thing. The network's really growing, and we've got friends all across the state as we sort of address these things. One thing I want to say before I forget, our biggest goal is to build human community around the problem of AI. For these meetings, right? So AI is a problem. Most problems have some real potential somewhere in there, right? And so there's potential for good, but there's also real risks and dangers, right? We can get dumber if we're not careful. We can give up our critical thinking. we can harm the environment or our colleagues and friends, right? Or we can create more meaningful work. And so that leads us to the website. And so I had somebody tell me today, they said, David, when I saw human dignity, meaningful work, and the common good being emphasized, I said yes, right? And so that's what we're about, and we're really excited about that. You have some sheets on your table there. They've got today, as of 3 p.m., this is the description of the upcoming courses that we're bringing for professionals. By the time you see it published on the website in a few days, the descriptions might have improved slightly. These were largely written by myself and not by AI, which means they're really imperfect. But these are short courses for professionals. This is the second iteration. We ran a 6-week AI for professional productivity last fall and spring, and we ran 5 sessions of that. It was really great. People loved it. This year, we're adding badging that measures competencies that will be published, that then you'll be able to take Credly badges to your LinkedIn and demonstrate, like pro-grade competencies in, not just prompt engineering, but also some context engineering and critically evaluating the outputs of AI, et cetera. Also, we're now far enough along that we have some research-based evidence about what actually builds up human capacity rather than detracts from it. And there's a small subset of practices with AI that help us build human capacity rather than dumb it down. And that's what we're emphasizing throughout all of these. One of the new things is the top one, the foundations thing, is just a 3-hour introduction. So that one is one we're going to promote to everybody, and then that's kind of like the gateway to the second, more involved course, where there'll be like role-based capstone project that people do. If you're in HR, you'll have an HR capstone project you build and then demonstrate. So it's going to be really good stuff. We're proud of it. We've had a team of 8 people work on it all summer, and so these are coming. Prices will be published when we put it online, currently negotiating, but these have had a lot of work put into them, and I think they're going to be really valuable in the marketplace, valuable for employees and employers in the future. So if you got questions about those, please hang out and ask, shoot us emails, whatever you'd like, but I don't want to slow us down. So I think I need to hand over to Tanner. Anything before I do that? All right, Tanner. So Tanner, if you'll introduce yourself. We did it by email, but I'm going to let you do it. I'm done talking.
Okay. Thank you. Been a minute since I wore one of these things. All right. Let me get over so I can start sharing, and then I'll do some introductions.
Working for you?
So far. Let's see. Let's see if that pops up or not on the TVs.
Oh, I'm sorry, you still need to plug in H2.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Hold on, let me grab my thing.
Yeah.
No, I got one. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't have it.
You're good, no worries.
While he's doing that, I do want to introduce Team A of our instructors. So Tanner Norris, lead strategist for AI at Intrust Bank. And then Jen Person, she's the founder and CEO of Human Boundless Horizons. Sorry, Jen. Executive coach, right, and tech nerd. So a really great duo. They're leading the AI for professional productivity. Group 1, there might be another section or 2, and we've got more instructors lined up. This gentleman here, Ian Thomas, is a lead software engineer at Spectrumware. Where's Troy Graber, his boss? And this guy is passionate about great code. And he's so passionate about it, he says, you know, agents can be useful, and sub-agents and orchestration, great. With good harness engineering, make it pro-grade, but sometimes you just need to slow down. And one of the stories he told was, the other day we asked one of our developers to explain what they had demonstrated to us, and they couldn't explain it, and we sort of busted their chops, because they had to confess that AI did too much work and they didn't do enough, right? So it's pretty good stuff. That's the kind of accountability we want.
Yes. Thank you for filling the time. I promise I know what I'm doing technology-wise. All right, so my name's Tanner Norris, and like David said, AI strategist at Intrust, also tech enthusiast, gamer, so if you guys are playing anything, let me know. Today, we're going to talk about what's worth building with AI. So I'm going to walk you guys through some frameworks, some thought processes, things that I apply both at Intrust, but also outside in my AI consulting business on how to figure out what's worth building. It used to take months, right, to go from an idea to a working prototype, countless conversations, whiteboard sessions, tons of should that person be in the room, should that person not be in the room. Now all that is crammed in an afternoon with Claude, and you're done, you have a working prototype. But that shifts the question from can we build it to is it worth building? How are we actually solving a problem for human good? How are we fixing somebody's friction in their day? Because you can fall into a build trap incredibly quick. I've been there multiple times. It'd be really cool if I could just do this. And you just do it, and then it ends up getting shelved or thrown in the trash. And I wasted tokens and all of that stuff. So I'm going to walk you guys through that journey today. I guarantee you everybody in the room has heard this question. Some form of, can AI help me fix our problem? Can you fix our problem with AI, etc.? I'm going to walk you guys through my experience with this year. So I was pulled into a meeting probably 3-4-ish months ago, and they said, Tanner, can AI fix our problem? We have folks that are leaving because they're going to new opportunities. They're leaving because they don't like the job. Can AI help us? Our support staff is deteriorating. The people in the room were 3 leaders in this particular department, and these were the 3 theories. One said, we just need faster answers. If we can get answers more quickly to our support staff, then everything will be better because they'll be less frustrated and they'll be more educated and life will be simpler for them. Another one said, it's just a hard job. Nuance, understanding all the little bits and pieces that make up somebody's day is just difficult. And the last person said, it's the wrong org structure. We need to get leaders. We need to get a new group. We need to just restructure everything that we're doing. And the thing is, they were all wrong. All of them were looking at it from the wrong angle. So when I took this initiative and said, sure, maybe AI could help us. We'll see. It's not a magic bullet for everything. Can't smear it over things that are broken and hope that it fixes it, etc. So my journey actually starts back in January of this year. One of the leaders that I really respect just made this phrase or this statement in passing. It's a very small moment for him, big impact for me. And he said, I think everybody should know how to ask a good question. That should be the bar for colleges, universities. Everyone needs to know how to ask good questions. I hear a lot of bad questions, and I hear a lot of shallow questions. And he was saying that to me, and I was like, okay, so give me a review, or like, what do I need to do here? So I started to reflect, and I thought, do I know how to ask a good question? No one's ever told me I've asked bad questions. No one ever told me what a good question looks like. I don't know the anatomy of that. And so I started off on my journey. How do I know how to ask good questions? And that led me to part 1 of the framework. Clean language. This was developed by a therapist by the name of David Grove in the 1980s. And David Grove became incredibly obsessed with preserving the interviewee experience. As he went through and looked at therapists and the different ways that they would ask questions of the people they're interviewing, he noticed they were introducing subtle influence to whatever story, whatever predicament that person was in. And so he developed what's called clean language to keep out dirty data, dirty input. I went through and I put together a list of 20 questions and really just kind of hammered clean language for a couple weeks and came up with, like I said, a list of 20. Here were my favorite ones that I used. And these are in sequential order. 1, what's the highlight of your day? Immediately gets the person in a positive mindset, an energized mindset. This is the stuff I love to do. And this is the highlight. These are the things I love to talk about, and they will go on and on and on and on about the stuff that they really enjoy doing. Then you introduce the villain, the antagonist. Great. What pulls you away from that most often? At that point, you're going to immediately figure out the friction in that person's day. You're going to figure out, if I could just, whenever these reports come up, I have to do data entry, I have to do this manual thing, I have to interact with this particular group, I have to answer emails, etc. And then preserving that experience, moving to the next question. What would need to change for that to happen less? Not insinuating anything, not changing their experience. You're going to switch their mindset to, I don't have to provide a solution, I don't have to fix it. Instead, I just need to talk about what would need to change. Maybe it's a policy thing. Maybe it's something regulatory. Maybe it's just, we've always done it this way. And then last, the hero, what's stopping that change? Documenting all of this helped me figure out what's the problem that we're actually trying to solve. So I took the first part of my framework and I went and I talked to everybody that was surrounding the support staff issue. It wasn't, I need to go talk to the support staff and I need to document everything they're doing and I need to figure out what their friction is. Instead, talk to the head of the department. It was very interesting as I went through each depth of leadership, how the perspective of that group and the problem changed. There was no consistency or continuity between any of the messages of each one of those individuals, asking those same questions. One even said, the support staff is like, they're the glue that hold everything together. They are the quarterback. They're the ones that go and make everything happen. They're the doers. But as I went and I had more questions and I asked, they didn't get paid or recognized or shared in the glory like the glue or the doers or the quarterbacks. So asking through all of these different levels allowed me to paint a brighter picture. Here's what I found. Work was opaque. Tracking anything was a monumental task. It was emails, post-it notes, drive-bys, spreadsheets, stuff in people's heads. One person went and bought a paper planner that they used to write everything, and they took it home with them at night. And then each admin managed their workload differently, obviously creating consistency and continuity issues because everybody does it different, not a big issue, or a big issue rather. And then inefficiency was everywhere. Printing things just to shred them. And then lots of manual data entry, copying and pasting, that type of stuff. So there was a lot of, really? You guys actually do that? That's crazy. Okay, it's 2026. And then jagged training. All of the knowledge, the onboarding, the experience, everything was trapped in one person's head. If that person was gone, training stopped, onboarding stopped, and their source of knowledge was gone. It was the most fragile system I'd seen, and it resulted in frustration from top to bottom. So after mapping all these things out, I went back to the drawing board, and I went to actually solve the problem that they were experiencing. My problem statement, we never gave them a system. We made them the system. That support staff had to absorb every point of friction across that department. They absorbed every inefficiency, they coped with the workload they had, and they really just tried to make it work. So we gave them a system. I went and I built an MVP. I found something worth building. So this is Lumio, and this is an all-in-one kind of centralized platform where it wrangles everything that they do throughout the day. It puts everything into a transparent pipeline. It allows you to create packets, digital packets, so you don't have to print things off. It allows you to have briefings so you can stay connected to the industry. You have processes and procedures you can ask questions on. This became their single pane of glass for everything that they do. And I put it together in 2 hours. And that was all because I did the front end work, figuring out the actual problem that we needed to fix. So their new day, transparent work. They know where everything is. They get a status update on yesterday Tanner did X, Y, Z, Robert did this, Rob did this. Everybody knows the status of their coworker. Less status updates in general. That was a big thing as I went through all the different leadership levels and support levels. Everyone had, where are we at with this client? Where are we at with this customer? Where's this work order? Where's this sales order? And if that person was out, remember the planner guy who took his paper home, no one knew what was going on. Less frustration overall, which is a more fulfilling environment, more time spent on the client, less on manual tasks, and they felt closer to the industry with briefings that were saying, hey, this is something new, you probably need to implement this, or at least be aware that this is changing in your work area. So now that we've figured out what to build, how do we position it so that we can actually get leadership alignment, get the people we're trying to solve the problem? How can we get them on board? So SAVE, I'm not sure, anybody marketing? Anybody heard of the SAVE model? So the SAVE model replaces the 4 Ps, if you guys know about that. I am not a marketing guy, but I love to learn. And I was going through this marketing module, and they talked about SAVE: solution, access, value, and education. Turns out, if you want to sell something, that framework actually works pretty well for should you build something, and how do you connect people to what you're actually trying to do. So here's the example that I put together for Lumio. So we have S, solution, the problem it actually solves. One place that pulls everything together. Everything's in one live view. It's a clear view of who's working on what. Deadlines surface before they slip. So no more, where are we at with the status update? The customer called, we're trying to figure out what's going on there. Access, how this thing fits in. How do people actually interface with it? This also helps de-risk it for the folks that are in risk management, et cetera. You can figure out how do we access it? What do we go through? The value. So this is going to be for your CFO, right? What's the value it actually provides? What's our kickback? What is the thing that this tool that we're building or this product actually solves? And then education. This one, faster onboarding. How do we get people involved? How do we get them educated about what this platform can do? So, fantastic model, and that's kind of part 2. So once you know what's worth building, here's how you can keep building the right thing. This is something that I came across the geniuses on social media, and they were talking about, and I was like, oh man, okay, yeah, let's incorporate this and give it a shot. The genius was Peter, the inventor of OpenClaw. So Vision.md. So he had floated this idea. It was like one tweet, and it was just like, hey, a Vision Markdown document would be kind of cool. And I said, it sure would, Peter. So I started exploring what that looks like. This has been fantastic for developing and building anything AI related. This gives you the front end work of interviewing, getting all of the information, putting that into whatever AI tool you're looking for. And when you have this Vision.md, it's not just what does Lumio do? It's what's the long-term vision? So my long-term vision for Lumio is one core, many flavors. It's Baskin Robbins. You get vanilla and you add whatever you want to it, and you have this department can use it with a slight customization, this department, this department, this department. That's my Vision.md. As I'm going through and developing, this thing gets, it gut checks and gate checks every single time against this document and keeps me, 1, on the right track, but 2, if I spin up any sub-agents that work on their own, they have a smaller context window, they'll continue to check back against Vision.md and keep them moving in the same direction and less kind of, bumper bowling that you have to do with those guys. I did this recently for a Choose Your Own Adventure. Remember those books back in the day? I did that with a survey. So I really wanted to trick people into giving me information for my AI training, and we were survey fatigue like crazy. So I built it into a choose your own adventure. So each time you had to pick what happened next, you had to answer a survey question. And it was great. I gave it to our trainers, and I was like, I need a vision document. And they were like, why? I said, just go with me on this. And I got to the end, and they said, that thing asked me like 23 questions to build out this vision document. And I said, right, I don't want to answer those. I want you guys to. Then we get the vision document, and we can start building. So it worked really well. It's something I would recommend taking a look at. And then the last piece, once you're building the right thing, this is actually what decides if anyone wants to actually use it. Taste. You've probably heard about this. Kind of funny. So when I was putting together this presentation, Lenny's podcast had Adam Mosseri on, who's the head of Instagram. And the whole topic of the podcast was taste and discernment, which I thought was very timely. But one of the things that I do, one of the tricks that I do when I'm building out and designing anything is getting familiar with the domain masters, whether it's art, design, writing, user experience, and leveraging their design principles to whatever it is that I'm building. So how would Ives, Tuft, Vignelli, Dieter, Orwell, Jobs, how would they do this? And it is incredible what you'll actually get, the output. Simplicity wins. Don't overthink it. That's something that I see often when people kind of pull me in to ask me questions about AI stuff, is they tend to cram as much features or as many features into a tool as possible. And simplicity wins. It needs to feel natural from start to finish.
And AI itself is going to try to make it complicated.
Yes, it will. Yes, it will. Tanner, we should do this. And it's like, calm down, no? Then what are your triggers for when someone should reach for this thing? If you can't answer that question, then you probably need to start over and go back to the drawing board. Whatever it is you're building, if you can't think of when X leads to Y, so if I would ask the group, if you guys need to buy something, what's the first thing you think of? Don't be shy. Amazon. You need to buy something locally, fast. Amazon. Exactly. They own all these different category entry points. So that's a big thing to figure out as well. Exactly. Yeah, I need food fast, DoorDash. So you have all of these things that you have to take into consideration when you build these things now. And it's not just, can I build something cool, but can I build something cool that owns a trigger point that actually gets us to a place where it's going to be utilized. And when somebody wants to utilize it, it feels good to use, satisfying, and natural. That last box, stoke your imagination, channel your inner Willy Wonka. Because I know I'm not telling you guys anything new. Sky's the limit when it comes to this stuff. But it's funny how often I have to remind people that, be a kid, Hope that it rains spaghetti and meatballs, those type of things. So with that, that's what I got today. Any questions?
Okay. We have ample time for Q&A.
Yes?
What would your customers say about this?
They liked it. It was kind of funny. So the first thing they said is, what vendor is this, and how much does it cost us per year? And at that point, I had a decision to make. And I was like, yeah, there's this like underground developer. It's crazy. Yeah, he's awesome, dude. But no, that's the first thing they said. And then second is, how quickly can we get it implemented? What do we need to do? How do we start clearing the way to get this thing done? And we got an MVP stood up, and we got a small group of people using it, and so far the feedback is great.
So did you pitch the MVP with a mock-up, or did you have a real?
It was a working prototype. Yep. Yeah, as quickly as you can spin them up, I just figured let's get it all out there and let them click through it, start experiencing it.
So Tanner, you built a fully functional MVP. You and Claude?
Yep, me and Claude Code. Yeah, me, Claude Code, Vercel, Supabase. Yep.
Okay.
The
So
trifecta.
database-driven web interface. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It changes the entire workflow, doesn't it? Like, you almost end up presenting, I used to present wire maps, right?
Mhm.
To somebody of like what I think their experience is going to be. And now I feel like I'm presenting MVP level,
Yeah.
right? And almost talking through feature sets of something rather than like what you want.
Right. Yeah, it's less theoretical and more, let's just click through this. And the back and forth is so satisfying because you can sit in the room and say, do you like this? Well, I really wish it was our brand colors. Okay. Then 30 seconds later, here you go. It completely changes the calculus. Yep. Great question.
Talk about user adoption and how you feel about the uptake with where you're sitting at now. The way of them creating value and the outcomes you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Just interested in your perspective and what the continued dialogue has been with that team
Mm-hmm.
and the results. Kind of, I think you had some $85,000 offset.
Yeah. Yeah, which was all of our onboarding costs, training, et cetera, all of those things. And so far, so good. We're still tracking it to see, are we going to reach that number? But for this point, it's just been more of, hey, can we add this? Can we tweak this thing? How do we get more AI? That's another thing. What else can we build? And it seemed to be kind of an unlock for what other problems can we solve? How can we take the framework that Tanner put together and start applying it internally and figuring out, can we start building our own things, which that's citizen development, and that's something we're trying to avoid altogether. But it's really changed the perspective on AI in general, which has been nice. Because before it was kind of like, I don't know, can we just get like a chat bot? And instead it's, let's just build a full platform that actually solves problems. That answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, so you're early stage, you're observing,
Right.
you quantify that. So I think it's really that virtuous cycle of getting back to, hey, this is what we landed on value. That's also such a powerful part of the recruitment process.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
but it takes time to observe those outcomes and then
Mhm.
course correct.
Absolutely. Yes, you're 100%
Yes.
correct. Okay, thank you. Yes.
How much time since MVP,
Mhm.
how much time do you spend iterating?
I would
And
say,
what kind of cycles?
yeah, I would say less than 20 hours
Total?
total
And
since MVP. Yeah. Reason,
Have you set up some frequency of?
yeah, we have touch points,
Okay.
right? Touch points, just check in, how are things going type of thing. But it's me and one other person too. So we're also, trying to figure out how do we balance all of the different iterations, requests coming in, change requests, those type of things for this particular platform.
All right, I'm curious too then, if you were to guess, how
Yeah.
much of that time, like that 20 hours, do
Yeah.
you spend simplifying?
Honestly, not much. It's
Do you think you got there because of the pre-work you did?
yes,
Okay.
because I had built things in the past, and I didn't go through this whole pre-work process. I didn't go through the interview process in this way, and I felt like things that I was building were missing the mark, right? Or they were very surface level. And so when somebody got them, one, from a satisfactory standpoint, it didn't resonate with them to actually use the product. And then part two is, I think I was building in, like I said, missing the target, actually missing the mark on what they were needing. I was listening to the surface level stuff and I didn't dive deeper to figure out the root of the actual problem. Once you figure that out, then people naturally feel gravitated towards it because it makes their day easier and you eliminated that friction.
Yeah, really good.
Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
So did you ever go back to the vision and tweak it in the process, or was that just canonical already?
Good question.
I try to leave it just completely crystallized, but there are some things that I'll go back and go, you know what, we do need to tweak this because of X, Y, Z. For instance, from like a risk mitigation perspective, I can't build and scale on Vercel and Supabase. We have to figure out how can we get this thing migrated over to like Azure, for instance, right? So that was something I went back and we framed up and figured out what's the one-to-one there. Yeah, good question.
What's an example of a few of the statements in your vision and brief?
Okay, so great question. So one is never sacrifice simplicity for a feature. One is always make sure this fits. I'm trying to summarize because they're paragraphs. Always make sure this fits the target audience that I learned from the actual framework itself, because I've learned that Claude will go, yeah, I know this is for these folks, but what if? and it starts adding extra fluff and insulation there. And it's, no, we need to make sure we stay focused on our actual target audience. So that's one thing. Another thing is whatever we build has to fit into the future of Azure. So we can't go and grab 11 labs to build a voice agent because Microsoft doesn't have an equivalent right now. So feature sets, technology, those type of things. Yeah. And
Follow-up?
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
Agents, MD, like, are your rules and guidelines that your agents abide by.
Mhm.
Right? Here's what you can and can't do. So
Yes.
Vision is, here are aspirations.
Yep.
Fundamentally, right?
yes, that strategic
Does
initiatives,
agents point at vision?
you could. Right now they're two separate things.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. So you guys, that's like harness engineering, right? You're building
Yeah.
a harness around your AI,
Yes.
right? That gives it guidance and now aspiration.
Mm-hmm.
In a way, I really like that.
Yeah. And yeah, it was one of those things of, well, I like when I have a vision that I can march to in my org. So why not do the same thing for agents?
Are you replacing people? What's happening to your people?
Oh, man. No, elevating people. That's the right answer.
Tell us about it. Yeah.
Yep. No one replaced.
Yeah.
No
So
one
really,
replaced.
honestly, right?
Yeah.
People are getting nervous about AI replacing them. What's your
Yes.
experience?
Uh,
Interest Bank, right?
yeah.
You've got quite a bit of AI integration.
Yep.
Yep. What's your outlook on?
So for the most part, everyone seems to be cautiously optimistic about AI getting woven through the bank in general. Because what we're trying to target is, like I said, the areas of friction, right? It's not, hey, this is something manual you guys do all the time, and this is your only job, so we'll just do this, and then you can find something else to do. We don't want to go through that route. So instead, it's asking the questions, okay, what's the highlight of your day? How can we make sure that you can continue doing that because that's where you're your best, and we're going to get incredible output that way. And framing it around what they enjoy doing, that's been kind of the philosophy from our president.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and now I'm rethinking what you presented in SAVE, right?
Mhm.
That workflow was really a human first
Yes.
AI planning and adoption process.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's, yeah.
Because it's releasing your humans to do what they're best at, what needs to be done most, et cetera.
Yes. And you can flip that question too. So my other favorite question is, what's the most draining part of your day? And that's really fun. You get some really cool answers there. So if you ever want to reflect, just sit there and go, man, draining. That's a very powerful word. Just sucks the energy out of you. So, yes.
I had something I thought might be useful to add to that response, Tanner, because I come from a different angle. I own a custom software company. And the biggest challenge is not the fear of will AI replace us. The biggest challenge is will people begin to believe that AI can replace us? It's a social engineering fear rather than a practical reality-driven fear.
It's true. Yeah, and I mean, those are conversations that come up often in terms of should we be using AI? Do we want to keep perpetuating like this technology, those type of things? And they're few and far between, but they're always interesting because each person comes with a different perspective. I've had some people opt out from just AI in general, of just, hey, I don't want to be involved in any pilots, tests, et cetera. It's cool, respect your wishes. But just trying to find the folks that are kind of skeptical, but also kind of excited, and trying to mix those two together. So, yeah.
So, I have a question about how you were enabled to do this.
Mhm.
So Interest is a pretty big organization, right? So you're not doing individual software development on the side, it's for
Mhm.
a pretty large company.
Mhm.
And so their risk tolerance is high. So can you explain to me what gave you the freedom to go out and create that and what governance you had on your creativity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So one, I have to give a lot of credit to my boss's boss, my managing director, because he paves the way for a lot of this stuff. He creates an environment where, yes, go experiment, do that under the safety of our umbrella. And then part of it too was after I went out and I got all of the information, I went I went home and I built something that I think would fit well. I built my vision, the thing that I think was going to fix the problem. And I brought that in and on my personal laptop and said, here's what I built. Here's the art of the possible. We have to wake up to these type of things, because if we don't, we're going to get left behind. I'm seeing other financial institutions already doing this type of stuff. And that paired with my managing director, we were able to blaze a lot of trails and then go and get some of the things unlocked and unblocked that we needed to. AI governance is still something that everybody's trying to figure out. I'm right there with you. And I'm trying to help shape that a little bit for Intrust of here's what we should allow people to do. We have high potential AI individuals. We need to put them into a special network and give them a curated set of tools. That way we don't stifle them, but it gives them a safe place where they can go play and they can build amazing things for their business units. And then the folks that don't want to do that, that's great. Again, we can keep them safe, secure, etc. But it all starts at the top and help them kind of blaze those trails.
I have a question regarding longevity and
Yeah.
upkeep.
Yeah.
Long term, because you're not going to want to take care of this baby forever.
No.
How does your organization imagine implementing long-term caretaking of this?
So I'll speak for me. I believe that we have the talent and the different groups to take care of all this stuff. I think it's just a very deliberate effort to upskill the individuals that are in those groups. I think they can get there, but it's truly just training, getting them educated, getting them connected to this is how quickly we can build things, and bringing them along in the process and not just saying, hey, I built this thing, you guys take care of it. That's not fun. So again, bringing them along, that's the best answer I can give you.
And are your developers AI-enabled developers at this point?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, they're getting there, for sure. Did you have a follow-up question, Becca, before I move on? No? Okay.
Probably have one more question, and then we need to start transitioning.
Did you guys do a buy versus build valuation? Look at Jira or anything like that? And what did you find? What made you decide to go with the build?
So for this one in particular, it was I wanted to really demonstrate art of the possible. We don't have to go and buy every single thing. That was something that somebody brought up is, so it's like kind of like tickets, right? Like a ticket management type of thing. And I said, yeah, it's kind of, but this is a bespoke thing that we created exactly for your guys' problem. Something that I had seen throughout, one, just my career in general in technology, but also at the bank is let's try to figure out what product we can buy, and then we can kind of mold and shape it and round off some edges to get it where it needs to be to kind of work for us. We're at the place in the era now where we can just build these things and they're custom fit for exactly what that person needs. It's a great question.
Can I ask you a quick question? In my experience with AI, I find that developing an MVP is great.
Sure.
But usually, eventually, it's misleading and it looks shiny and it runs great. But then as you begin to extrapolate it and try to actually complete your vision with AI, at least for me, it more oftentimes than not, almost all the times, doesn't quite work out the way. What are the odds that this project is implemented throughout your organization and does the job that you think that it will do?
So the way I'm kind of approaching that is by one, piecemealing it out and keeping a limited scale as to what I'm actually trying to solve. So right now it's for this particular support staff, and it is a 100% limited kind of bespoke creation just for them. I don't plan on taking that and throwing extra people into it. Instead, it's now that we have this framework and this blueprint, we can go build that core over here for our IT operations team, and we can make small adjustments. And you manage it that way instead of trying to scale it up to the point where you have 1,000 people in there and it ultimately will break. So that's kind of the way I've been approaching it. Does that help answer your question at all, or no?
Have you successfully implemented it into the business, and is it a tool that you anticipate they'll continue to use and keep?
As far as I know, yes. We'll see 6 months down the road. We'll see a year down the road. But for now, they seem to like it better than the spreadsheets and emails and post-it notes.
That'll be your next presentation.
That's right. That's right.
I've got a quick reflection. I think one of the things that's come to mind is like vibe coding,
Yeah.
right? Where you start out with no programming knowledge. You had a medium amount of programming knowledge, right?
Yes.
Understand databases, understand web interfaces.
Yes.
You knew the Azure ecosystem,
Yep.
right? And so he's beginning with some of those fundamentals, right? And so I think a lot of times we're going to have to help people take programming 101, database
Yes.
101, and
One of the things that I did, because I took all my programming, database, that type of stuff back in college, and that was in 2011, 2012, so I need to brush up on it. But as I started working with Claude, I started working with Codex, one of the things that I did is anytime it wrote code, it had to do a plain English explanation right after it as to what it's doing, what it's affecting, what it's touching. That way it turned it into an education tool as well. And it wasn't just, hey, let's vibe code this thing. And I'm like, yeah, it looks great. Instead, it's here's all the blocks.
Yeah.
And then over time, start to, knock the rust off a little bit. But yes.
right, that certain level of knowledge is really what makes the difference. Domain expertise is still a thing, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, so next up, Rob Dickson is Chief Information Officer for Wichita Public Schools and one of the nerdiest super nerds in Wichita. So, so looking forward to this, Rob.
Yeah. So if you've been to this group before, you saw me present on OpenClaw in, what was that, March, I think, or something like that? Yeah. So I've kind of shifted since then. Let me unmute myself here so you actually hear.
Try to push this down just a little bit, see if it can be.
There we go. And then you wanted me to share my whole screen. So then I'll share my whole screen. So now that you see that, I shared this dashboard in March because last year I took over the research department in the district. It had, at the time, 10 employees. We've taken that down to 4 since merging it into my department. I have about 100 people on my staff in the district. We serve 83 schools, 46,000 students, about 8,000 employees. And so I would say, I've been on the Microsoft suite forever. I'm on their education board since 2015. It's a great organization. However, OpenAI approached me in November to see if we would stand up and be a part of a national cohort of 8 districts in the United States that would implement and help design OpenAI's educational platform. So we currently have stood up since December an OpenAI enterprise environment. So we've implemented ChatGPT work, if any of you have experienced that. So some of the things that I'll talk about today professionally happen in ChatGPT work. Personally, I'm running Hermes now instead of OpenClaw, and I can identify the reasons why I do that, as well as what you'll see here. So this is the Build-A-Bond dashboard. This was like the first time I was like, there's a way to measure things differently than what we did before, and it all has to do with qualitative data. So we're a large Power BI district, right? We run an Azure environment. I think we have a running scale of about 6.3 terabytes of just pure data in Azure Data Lake that we model. We use Cornerstone to help us model that data and have for the last year, and are basically creating the right swim lanes for AI to analyze that to help us answer some questions. This spring, one of the things that we did out of our staff was getting staff voice. So we did these basically staff session where I took B data. So I'll share this a little bit later. So B.computer. This is amazing. So this basically tethers to my phone and doesn't take a recording, but it's basically a live transcription. And so that allowed me to capture the data that we didn't capture in a form. So many times staff members aren't willing to enter data into a form because even though it's anonymous, they might not trust the source, right? But they're more than willing to say it. And so we captured both voice data and form data and basically came up with some amazing dynamics here of how you could look at data differently. So some of the things that we outlined in our district that we need to change is student behavior, right? And so you'll see us change how we do cell phones, right, in the fall, and how we even look at some of our data in behavior will be very different this year based on the student code of conduct. So I learned a lot out of that process, and through that, if you were to go to showmerob.com, which I don't sell anything, this is my own personal website, this helped me to start thinking about how I might look at data differently. So if you look at showmerob.com and click on research, I've started to add different data sets, and all of these are public data sets that I've grabbed. So one of them is AI governance based on state. Another one is personal devices, whether that's available state by state. I just introduced last weekend esports and micro schools. So if you don't know, I started Creative Minds, which is a K-6 one-room schoolhouse at the Learning Lab. It's a public micro school that we have about 80 kids now, and we have a waiting list of about 220. But that's a micro school, and that was a data point that I was interested in. This Saturday, there will be a new data set entered on computer science as a requirement for K-12 education across all 50 states. But you can use this data and model this data any way that you want. I'll tell you how I do it. If you go to my website and click on blog, you'll see Frank, my Hermes setup. So Frank is my setup that I have at home in my home lab. I run him on a Mac Mini M4 Pro with 48 gigs of RAM. Currently, his embeddings and what's called Firecrawl. So I run a localized Firecrawl instance. That Firecrawl is amazing. If you need browser access for your AI agent, use Firecrawl and put it in locally. Like, you don't need to pay the API for that. It's completely open source. It'll crawl whatever sites that you do. So how I reference my research data is I use Perplexity's API for real-time search, and then I use Firecrawl, and then I use different models to look at both sources and come to a conjecture of what's true. And so that's really worked for these data sets very well. It cost me like maybe $3 a month, right? And so if you end up signing up for my newsletter, that's also open source. It's called Button Down. And so it generates every week. I run the Sunday signal report that does research for me every single day. So if you look at this, I have 48 scheduled tasks. My Notion, I publish all the research that happens every single day. And it looks at the same data every single day. And then on Sunday, it reviews all 7 days worth of data and comes up with a signal report of where the market's going with AI, where K-12 is moving to, computer science is moving to, what Kansas policy and where AI policy is moving across the United States. And so then it models that data from those 7 days into a Sunday signal report that then is right here. You can see the Sunday signal report. This was this last Sunday's. It talks about governance. It talks about AI state policy, and it has it basically publishes all the sources there. And structure, if you guys don't know, if you ran Canvas, you were in a breach. We were in that, as well as most every other post-secondary institution. State-level personal device guidance, Google or any other type of frontier model. This runs automatically. I don't do any human effort in this whatsoever. It's all based on cron jobs and review. And I might place something personal in there, like I think the week before I put something in for my vacation, but this all runs locally without, so the model is Gemma 4. I run that to actually look at the data across to publish. This costs me zero other than the electricity to run that Mac 4 Pro Mini. So something to think about. Loops. How many of you have heard of loops? One of the things that I love about loops, and I run this in work, let me present this slide. So I'm running a large project where we're taking and we're redoing our entire enrollment system for the district. So how many of you have tried to enroll in Wichita Public Schools? It's a task, isn't it? And it's a pain in everybody's backside, right? So we're creating a unified enrollment form in Power Apps, in Power Platform. We're using Copilot chat as a way to help families that don't have English as their first language, or might have a low digital literacy and not know like how to upload their proof of address, right? Some of those things. So that's one way how we're utilizing AI. But what I love about this loop is I don't have to have a project manager. So every Tuesday evening, ChatGPT work goes through my SharePoint of that particular project, my Teams messages, any emails that came across, and it will build an agenda for me for Wednesday morning's meeting. And because I use a company called Crimson, which Microsoft's paying for because they would like to tout this enrollment form. They're out of the UK, so we have it every Wednesday morning. And so it generates the agenda, and then that's from 8 to 9. At 10 a.m., another cron job from ChatGPT work goes back in, grabs a transcription from the meeting that we recorded. I record every single meeting, and it grabs that transcription, and it updates the project document. And it also mentions anybody in the project document. So they automatically get a notification of when they said in the meeting transcription. Because think about this, when you record your meetings now, you want to say the things that you want to be in the project doc, right? So you're like, oh, wait, John, when did you say that was going to be done? Oh, I heard you say, oh, okay. So you said that's next Tuesday. What date is that? Okay. All right. So then you get those things documented, and then at 10 o'clock, this update the project document happens. It's sent out, and it's posted automatically to the Teams thread. And then guess what? I don't have to worry about anything else until the next meeting, and it's already sent tasks to the people to, hey, here's your task, here's when it's due. And so for me, these loops have been amazing. And that loop, this was the first loop that I created, but then that helped me design the research loop that I do every week for the Sunday Signal report. So I was like thinking of the human condition of when are we having the meeting? How can I capture the information from that meeting? What actionable insights might I have for that? And how might I put that in a format that will help me not to have somebody to process that? So I'll show you, this is Frank. This is my Hermes agent. Like I said, he runs at home on ChatGPT. I use the front end, I use Codex for that. I love Codex. Like ChatGPT work is basically Codex that OpenAI has relabeled as ChatGPT work. What I love about Hermes Agent compared to what I had with OpenClaw is sub-agents work independently in profiles. And the other piece to this is one password tied to Hermes allows you to have all of your API keys and credentials in a store that Hermes never sees. And he just requests them at launch. so that those are secret and kept away, so that then, obviously I have everything in here right now is on tail scale, so I've had to tie to my phone in order to get out because Newman University doesn't allow for tail scale. But that allows me to have a nice, secure way of connecting to my Hermes agent. The other pieces that I would say that are huge for Hermes is you have localized TTS and STT. If you don't know what that means, you'll probably hear ChatGPT voice here pretty soon, which is amazing. But I can ask, what's the weather? Let's see if this works. It's running through my phone, so we'll see how fast this goes.
Is this a local model that you're running?
Yeah. So all the voice is local TTS. I'm running LM Studio with Nomadic and Gemma is supplying the voice for this. Did it say it? Oh, here it's preparing. Yeah. I'm sure my cell signal's not awesome.
Assuming Wichita tomorrow, Wednesday. High 96 degrees Fahrenheit. Low 76 degrees Fahrenheit. Sky partly sunny. Rain 10% chance of a late afternoon thunderstorm, rising to 20% overnight. Wind ESE 9 to 13 miles per hour, gusting to 18 miles per hour.
For a local model that doesn't cost me anything, that's pretty amazing voice, right? So
National Weather Service.
I really think localized models on Hermes are amazing. And file management is phenomenal. Gemma does an amazing job of managing files. So my desktop, every day I do whatever the heck I want and make it all messy. And then at 9 o'clock at night, Frank just goes in and just organizes the files where they need to go into organization. So those small pieces save me time throughout the day, and those loops help me do things that I would need another person to do. From a development standpoint, I have 12 developers on my team. They do the work of 30 people easy now, where I would have outsourced some work that they couldn't have done before. So I'll open for questions. So I had Frank, if you go to the website and you click on that the blog and Frank set up, Frank actually set up his own PowerPoint presentation that he wanted to present to you with. He made this in PowerPoint, which is pretty amazing. So you see that it's not images generated. This is actual PowerPoint. He generated this himself. You can download this PowerPoint, look at the PowerPoint. Whatever Frank made is actually pretty great. He explains.
Which model did it use?
Huh?
When it did that, which model did it use for working in PowerPoint?
Probably Codex. I would assume Codex, yeah.
Yeah.
So.
But that's a little bit more advanced than what Gemma would do.
Yeah, for sure.
Who
Yep.
makes Gemma?
Google makes Gemma.
So that's
Yep.
an open source model from Google.
Yep. I love Gemma and also the 26 billion parameter of Quen is pretty amazing for reasoning. So, yeah.
And what's it running on? Is it running on your machine? Or
Yeah. M4 Pro, Mac Mini, 48 gigs of RAM, terabyte hard drive.
What size of Gemma are you running locally?
Depends. Great question. So I have the box that Frank sets on, 9 billion parameter. It's a small. And then I have the new QAT running on another box that's just adjacent from it. There are two Mac Minis that sit on top of one another. But that larger model, because I run into memory constraints whenever I load that model with everything else going.
So Rob, is Hermes doing all the routing?
Yes. Yeah. And so I have those broken down, the profiles broken down in the PowerPoint and what roles that they do. What I love about Hermes routing is you're very explicit about what it does. So I use Grok 4.5 as scribe because it has an attitude to it that I really like. And so it'll feed to me like an attitude, like if I'm going to post on social or something, it gives me just a little bit of attitude that I like. For a librarian, Gemma is amazing. Like it does the organization of the files and everything really well, especially the small 9 billion parameter one, because organization of files or even the consumption of files, that does not require a large model. Nor does it require a large context, because you end up context compacting in the middle, and it just starts off where it left off. So where reasoning requires you to have a larger context, if I'm not reasoning and I'm just processing text, use a smaller model and a smaller context. It really doesn't matter.
Can you define processing text?
In my research, I had already grabbed the text from Firecrawl, and I just need to process it into a report. I don't need reasoning, and I don't need thinking enabled. And so just processing that text, the context window isn't that high of a requirement, and neither is the model size. So tokens have values. Some tokens have higher values than others.
But for instance, your signal report, that does require reasoning, yes?
Correct. Yeah, because I'm processing layers of information into a single report. But if I just wanted, like in the Firecrawl instance where it's gone and it's scraped, right, research, and I'm bringing it in to process that text, local model, no reasoning needed.
Yeah, right.
You said that you had Hermes, Frank, go through and clean up your desktop at 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Are you actually running on the same machine that Hermes is living on, or do you have it remotely?
No, my iCloud environment syncs with my laptop, right? So he just has my iCloud environment for the desktop, which is my Scratch interface, right? So Frank doesn't have access to OneDrive or any of my work files. That's my ChatGPT work. That's how I separate it. The research and things that I do that are outside of the district that I just supply, Frank does all that research for me and does it through the Firecrawl and Perplexity API connection.
You said it notified the people in the meeting of their to-dos or their tasks.
Yeah, it's an app mention inside. So in ChatGPT work, I have an app mention the user. I use their people card, and I have an app mention the user so that in the project they get notified that this task has been assigned to you.
That's in Teams?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because your ChatGPT is integrated with Teams. It's got that connected.
Yes,
right?
MCP. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
When you're within your Azure environment, your codecs, because you worked out ChatGPT's connections
Yes.
to that.
Yep.
And so as a district, you've been able to do that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
But you don't have Hermes running in that environment.
No.
Yeah.
Nope. I don't have that kind of trust level yet. I'm building a lot more trust. Like I would tell you, my personal calendar, Frank runs my entire personal calendar. My wife sent me a screenshot of our itinerary. We just got back from vacation to Ireland, Switzerland, and Italy. So she had this spreadsheet, and I was like, just forward it to me. So Frank has his own Gmail address, and he only answers to me. I have 3 email addresses that he'll answer to. So I just forwarded it to him and said, put all this on my calendar that's in this Excel spreadsheet. But then 30 seconds, it was all there. So.
Would Claude Cowork do that in theory?
Yes.
Chrome browser or,
Yep. Here's where you'll have issues is custom MCP. So Claude, I worked with Cowork because we get access to that for free through Anthropic. Cowork doesn't hold custom MCPs very well. Neither does ChatGPT work. That's where I think A to A, if you look at A to A, the more solutions that support A to A, which was a standard that Google came out with, agent to agent, that will work much better in that situation than MCP, because the problem with MCP is you're loading a lot of tool context into the window before it starts.
May I ask one more?
Yeah.
I went really hard on OpenClaw. I mean, and I'm just a guy, and I went hard. probably
Man.
spent, I don't know, $5,000 in tokens.
Yep.
At least
Yep.
at a minimum. And
Yeah.
I had this existential crisis that if I didn't figure this out, my competitors were going to leave me in the dust. And here's what I found. I found that the technology would mislead me. It would and so I still have my Raspberry Pis, but
Yep.
I just kind of set that stuff down. And so as an entrepreneur or a business owner, I'm really focused on leveraging technology. That's why I'm here.
Yeah.
I came to the conclusion that I didn't need to be in such a hurry after all. I could maybe sit back and take a little bit of the breath and let this technology catch up because it wasn't quite as good as I thought it was.
Because you gave OpenClaw an existential crisis.
Well, here's my struggle with OpenClaw. Every time I updated OpenClaw, I broke something.
Yeah. From another country.
Yeah. Right. The one thing I do love about Hermes, my updates are pretty seamless.
It was so frustrating that I'm not sure I would pick Hermes up. And would you say
Yeah.
that I'm missing out?
I mean, sit down with me for 30 minutes and I'll show you.
I'd like that.
Yeah, for sure. I totally do that. And I'm not selling anything whatsoever. Like if you want to see my setup and everything, like I'll show it to you. I don't really care. So, but you don't need much. Like the Firecrawl setup is on a Proxmox box at my house, and it's like 4 gigs of memory. It's a Linux container. Dude, that thing works. It's rear off. I'm in Newman University, so I'm not cussing today. But yeah, so it's so it'll work. Especially in research, it's amazing. Firecrawl is, and the Perplexity API is stupid cheap for the amount of consumption that you have.
Hands-on workshop
So
one of these days.
yeah, so we could sit down and light up Hermes. The client is amazing. So this client is probably, I work in this all the time. Like I leave this up at home, I leave it up at work. If I ever need anything, this client, because what I love about it, you'll see here, I have my sessions and it saves the sessions, but then you'll see my Telegram, so I have it connected to Telegram, and then I also have Photon, which is completely free. So in Photon, he's called Frank Robb's assistant. In Photon, he gets iMessage and the blue iMessage bubbles. So it's the same, like whenever I was in Switzerland, they had blocked Telegram to where I couldn't use it on the Wi-Fi there. And so I literally just brought up iMessage and then would just text Frank and say, hey, I need you to find me a restaurant for tonight. And if it supports OpenTable, go ahead and make us a reservation, right? So those are the easy things that you can do. But access with Hermes is amazing.
Are you doing anything special on your Sunday reports for information drift? Like if it's summarizing 50 articles and giving it a summary, do you monitor to check if the summary is actually in line with the original?
Yes. But also with that, because it's a signal, I have it document the previous signals so that it's not reiterating the same signal. And it also tells me if something looks not right. Like if it's like, all right, this signal wasn't in last week and it seems off, it'll notify me that something's not right, and I'll review it before I publish it. So.
Do you then like store those interventions to do your own call it reinforcement learning loop?
Gosh, I haven't really thought about that, but yeah, this is just a personal I don't know. Yeah. So on August 1st, all of those data sets will refresh on August 1st, and then I have explicit instructions to find trend analysis across the data sets. So then as I add data sets, every first of the month it's going to refresh and give me, whether it be the last month or the last 6 months, by the time I get to that point of like, where's AI governance going across states? Where's device strategies going? And that will give a good indication of where the United States is going from an educational standpoint. Yeah.
Last question.
Okay. It's maybe a great, easy, lowball question. When you were talking about data collection from B data,
From B.
devices, B data?
B data.
Yeah.
Yep.
In your space,
Mhm.
FERPA and worries about
Right.
such things are
Yep.
really,
For sure.
really existential. How do you navigate?
So I would never use it in a meeting where I didn't announce that I was going to capture, right? So in those staff meetings that we had, I would say everything that you're saying here, I'm capturing.
Yeah, but I'm sure that people have been nervous about it.
Oh, sure.
anyways, 'cause
Yeah.
they can still say,
Yeah.
somebody can make a mistake.
Yeah, and it's not a video, so I'm not like,
Okay,
and
I
it's
was
not a
wondering if
recording.
There were some protocols that you have in place
Sure.
to assure leaders.
It is a weird gray area because it's not an audio recording. Like there's no storage on that device. Like it's just a transcription based. The API is completely developer based, so you can just pull it as often as you want, and it'll pull it in. I love it for coaching myself of how I talk, and whether I say too many ums or.
I think it's fascinating. I was just wondering how you
Yeah.
communicate this with.
Yeah.
with leadership.
Then the data
Yep.
stays within your Microsoft tenant, which is set
Right.
up to be FERPA compliant, right?
Well, so every meeting that I have automatically have set to record, no matter, even if it's a face-to-face. Our district leadership team meetings, we have in a space that has a Logibar in it, right? So even if we're face-to-face, I still record the Teams meeting because that auto-generates the notes for the meeting for our
Curious,
staff.
Do you pull up the B during hallway conversations?
Oh, no. I mainly use the B to like capture something that I need to capture that there's not an online recording of.
Yeah, I was wondering if you were making teachers walk around and like.
Oh, that would be awesome, wouldn't it? Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I was imagining like a little bracelet, like just
Oh.
walk around and talk.
Yeah.
That would be a FERPA problem.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Think about if you were doing knowledge transfer of someone who's leading a business and you had them walking around all day with something like the B, getting their culture documented.
Yeah.
That's
Like,
the hardest thing in the world.
this morning, where I used the B this morning, I had a meeting with the Deputy Commissioner of Education because KSDE was at a meeting down here. And so as a part of my micro school, I was like, he's like, what challenges do you have? And I'm like, well, seat time is a challenge because, school doesn't look like it used to look like 100 years ago. And I don't know why you're using seat time as still this model for education. So like I captured those conversations, but I had the conversation with him that I was going to capture that.
That's great. Thank you.
So, yeah.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
So I want to say a couple of things. We're learning that domain expertise still matters and probably will for a long time. Does anybody notice how many billions of dollars that OpenAI, Google, Anthropic, Microsoft are putting in what's called forward deployed engineers? They're the people who understand all these technologies, how they fit together, how they talk to each other, right? And AI is glue that they work with to do these things. So as you listen to Tanner talk, as you listen to Rob talk, you're thinking, holy crap, these guys have lots of knowledge about these systems, right? There's going to be work for software engineers, right? And that kind of thinking, technologists for the foreseeable future, right? These billions that they're putting into this are because they realize adoption's not going to continue happening without people rolling up their sleeves and figuring it out, right? So that's one thing that's worth noticing. And so computer science should still be something that people take and study, even though it will change as we go. The other thing is the Institute here at Newman is going to invite Tanner to help us bottle up some of these insights, right? On human first adoption, right? And it should be about freeing up humans to do the best work that they can do that's the most meaningful, the best value we can deliver to other humans, right? And if we can eliminate some of that friction, it's not replacing us, it's freeing us up, right? Those are the kinds of things we're listening for. last meeting, we told a story about IKEA. Look up IKEA, and they're retaining of 8,500 support staff by upskilling them to become interior design assistants, and making an extra $1.4 billion because they upskilled their people rather than laying them off. All right, those are the stories we're after, and we think we're going to have a chance, right? There's a small subset, or maybe a medium subset, of ways to use AI, right? That's human supporting, affirming, right? And not human replacing. Now, I'm so jealous of Rob. I could sure use an extra assistant. So I'm all for that, right? Because I'm not going to lay anybody off. I'm just going to give myself some more time, right? And so we're inviting him back to like do a show and tell for some of these pieces, and anybody else who wants to do that, right? Some of you have these things you're figuring out. So I love this. So grateful. If you've got 2 minutes, I want to say one more thing. So imagine being the brand new director of an institute, and it's like you and a grad assistant or two. I've got some great people, right? And so now, right, this is an institute that needs to like do a lot of stuff, and so. But what if an institute for AI and the common good could find somebody who's got a PhD, let's say in economics, who's maybe got some skills in measuring and documenting and reporting effectiveness and impact, who loves to think about how we make economics and the world of work and business be for humans, and who comes into a meeting and says, yeah, I'm an economist, I'm the kind who really thinks that the economy should serve humans. Wouldn't you love to have that as an associate director of the Institute for AI and the Common Good? Let me introduce Becca Selby-Leach. So you guys are the first to hear in the public forum, and there's going to be more announcements. We're cooking up the official recognition, but she was able to come today. Officially, it's going to be announced in the coming weeks, but you guys were one of the first to hear. So Becca, welcome.
Thank you so much.
So the team's growing. It's going to be awesome. You guys are part of the team too. Please be in communication. I expect that you're going to want to hang out and talk. I expect that people from some of your companies are going to say, how do we do things like Rob does, or routing work to multiple models? Because we know now that we can't just pay open an AI and Anthropic for all the work. We need to diversify the kinds of models we're using for certain kinds of work. And you can do that in a Microsoft tenant, right? And so there's all sorts of interesting possibilities that we can create, and that's part of what happens here. So thank you guys.
Really great.